Hello, everyone. Welcome to a different interview that I have never done before. The privilege to partner with Ubisoft again and to talk about a Division mobile game. And I have a person that's been working on the game for, I'm assuming, quite some time. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hey Dave, I'm Fabrice Navrez, executive producer at Ubisoft Mobile HQ.
Okay. So I guess the first question that I would have, and I'm assuming this is probably something you've been getting a lot, did you work on the Division at all? Division 1 or 2?
Personally not.
Okay. So
I played them extensively though.
Awesome. So I guess what's the initial pitch that you have to a Division player like myself going from a console to a mobile device?
I would say we were looking at two things actually. It's to be super faithful to the Division universe. The game is canon, so it's like totally cohesive, consistent with the Division universe. So it's a good way to learn new stuff about the universe you love. And second is, well, you can bring your mobile anywhere with you, so that means you can play the Division whenever you want. Okay. It's a big strength of a mobile game.
Yeah, so the Tom Clancy The Division series going from consoles and PC to mobile is a big step, and it's also a very big brand recognition. And it's a little bit of the trailer that we've seen and some of the video that we've seen. It looks at least at the beginning that it's very similar menus and interfaces to what the player base has already been used to on consoles and PC.
That's exactly. We're really trying to stay on brand, if you want, and is that we think it gives, especially on the art style, the UI, it gives a very special signature to what is the Division, and so that's something we kept since the very beginning. Of course, it's adapted for mobile screen to be legible on a small screen, to make sure that everything is super smooth while you're using touch control. But once again, that was very the objective for people that are familiar with the Division to feel at home, basically.
Okay. And then the obvious thing is the cooperative play, and that's going to work on the mobile system as well, correct?
Absolutely. You can co-op basically everything in the game. You can meet friends, strangers in the open world, and group together to beat some challenge in the open world, and we keep the cooperative nature of the game.
And I think I heard that the clan systems are still going to be intact. It's not going to be a crossover clan, it didn't sound like, but there's going to be independent. Like I can create a clan for our community again, and then people join that through the mobile system, not necessarily Absolutely. If they were in a clan on the game initially, right?
Absolutely. Here once again, it's really it's also what you expect from any good mobile game. It's to have something very social, and there you will have a lot of stuff to do all together. We will give way more details on what we plan for the clan system, but it will be super interesting because it kind of give a common goal to your group of friends to basically save the situation as a Division agent.
And then we've been back to New York in the Division 2 with Warlords of New York, and anybody that played the Division 1, it was in New York, and we're going back to New York. I think I saw in the presentation that we're part of the first wave again, so it's almost like a separate continuous branch running with the Division 1 storyline, but this is a new direction of that story. I mean, it's connected, but it's not the same storyline that we had in Division 1.
Actually, it's connected, but it's in between. It's basically you start with the first wave of the Division, so it's like the beginning of the Division. So we're in a prequel mode, if you want, and then a big part of the story is right after the events of the Division 1.
Okay.
And so before the Division 2 event. So once again, our main goal was to be very consistent, to be able to tell new stories, to define new villains, to put new stakes on the Division universe. But also it was important for us to make something that would be accessible for people that are not familiar with the Division. And so that's why we start at the very beginning, is that, okay, it's time to try to save the situation in a collapsing New York, and so to be part of the first wave.
And it's going to be free to play. It's going to work on Android devices. I'm sorry, it's going to be in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, correct?
Absolutely.
Has there been any can you shed any light on? And the only reason I ask this is because Diablo Immortals has been getting a ton of attention, good and bad, lately. Can you speak at all to any type of monetization plan or any of that, or is that not ready?
I would say it's not ready to share the details,
okay.
though, and it's very important because it's an ongoing topic, monetization for free-to-play games. It's really important for us. We will follow let's say the following principle is to make sure the game is accessible to everyone. It's a free game to play actually, but it's fair and that everyone can progress at their own speed and basically enjoy the full content of the game. It's really important for us, and I really do believe we will find the right balance for the Division Resurgence.
Yeah, because like I'm always kind of been under the camp of like I feel like pay to progress faster is relevant. Like you can't really tell somebody what they want to do or don't want to do with their dollar, but then pay to win, like to find that balance between pay to progress and pay to win, I think is always the hard thing of like, is it too overpowered? Can the player base expect similar things? I mean, like I know it's open world, which I thought was like super fascinating. And the trailer and some of the gameplay that we've seen, like it's what we know. It's the New York that you know. It's the interface you know. You still have like the yellow lines as you're going places. You can go in buildings. You can run into like a little mini event and faction event that you can call for help. I mean, it was fascinating to me. I am not an avid mobile gamer at all, but like something like this is intriguing and drawing my attention rapidly, because it's a franchise that I know and a lot of the people that listen to this know. And before it's always like, oh, this is a really fun game. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know anything that's going on in that world. And the cover system is still there. And you guys have it looks like you've implemented remappable touch controls as well as controller support, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think one of the main there's many challenges to bring a game like the Division on a mobile device, and one of them is to have very smooth control. And so that's why we did a lot of work to make it as perfect as we can. That's also why we're doing that closed beta to see the reaction from the player and the community on how they enjoy the control. If I take, for example, the cover system, which is iconic from the Division, we did a lot of tries, a lot of internal test with also play test with external players to see how they react to the control and what works well or not. I think right now we have a pretty good solution. But also it's important to give player agency, and as you said, Dave, you can customize everything. If you want to change the position of the button, the size, even the opacity, if you want to make it more or less visible on the screen, you can. And last but not least, you can still use a controller as well. So a lot of options. With the core goal is to make that the game experience super smooth and fun to play.
And then some of the mission structure and stuff, like you guys have had to kind of tone down is not the correct word, but shorten to build a mission structure for a mobile experience, like understanding that a player might be just picking this up at the last 10 minutes of their lunch break and wanting to get something completed, correct?
I would say the key word there is to have options. So if you want to play 3 hours in a row, it's totally feasible actually. Some of the main missions are quite extensive, but it's also important that if you don't have that time to invest yet, well, you can spend 5-10 minutes and find a meaningful activity in the open world to keep your progression or keep playing on several bursts a day. And so it's the key word for us is really flexibility on the experience, but the you can easily spend hours on it for sure.
And then the player experience of what we've known to expect, like we're still getting specializations in this mobile version of the game, and you pick those at the beginning, right? And they're new, like I've seen some similar gadgets and similar devices that we're using in the Division Resurgence, but the specializations are going to be unique to the mobile platform, correct?
It's a mix actually. So you pick one specialization at the very beginning of your experience. From there is some that are close to what we know from the Division 2, for instance, and we also created new ones. One of the major evolution we're making is that actually you can change your specialization quite easily, and basically that means you can adapt your playstyle. I would say faster and try to adapt to the situation. And of course, and that's one of the fun part of the Division, it's also to adapt to your teammates, to build synergies on your team to overcome the different challenge of the world.
Could we expect similar build crafting and, like heavily, diving into, either like a burn damage or a tick damage or, like a heal, can you still expect to kind of delve into that? Am I going to be analyzing like a chest piece and a glove drop as it for the stats and everything I need? Is that aspect still going to be there, or is that going to be low, not necessarily lowered, but adjusted for mobile functionality?
I would say that's something we keep to give for the people that love min-maxing. Mm-hmm. They will feel at home basically, and awesome. So you will have all the options to really try to make the perfect build. And at the end of the day, we want to keep the complexity because it's what is fun in games with a lot of RPG elements like the Division. It's to play with your arsenal, the loadout you have, and to try to find the best way to tackle the different challenge that we're offering you.
And then real quick, like, can you just speak to? Because I'm assuming this, but can you speak to the challenge of taking a console and PC game and putting it on mobile? Like, of what you're like, how are we gonna do that? Like, how are we gonna take something that, for some people runs at 120 frames a second and does all that, and then you're gonna put it on, you have to make it run like on an iPhone 10.
Well, so the question is where to start. Actually, I would say let's take the open world for example. Actually, I'm still amazed, but what we achieved so far, it's like we have a believable urban open world running on a device, and which is quite convincing. Of course, we took a lot of optimization, let's say, to make sure that it runs super smooth, because we want the game to be able to be at 60 FPS or at least a constant 30 FPS even on low-end devices, which is super important. Yeah. And one of the we developed a lot of things to make it happen, and it took a lot of time actually to have something convincing. But also talking about adaptation, that's also why we did we make also a specific word to kind of make everything more legible, because as you're on a small screen, actually putting a lot of graphical details can be a bit tough for the eye, because well, there is too many details on screen. So that all the kind of optimization we've made to make sure that you have actually a super impressive game to play on a phone, and actually I'm very proud of the result.
Yeah, like the some of the footage that I've seen, like it's just little things that like I look at and immediately it's kind of how I function. But like when I see the damage numbers come off when you're firing the gun, I'm like, those look different, and I'm like, well, they have to look different because it's on a mobile device, and if you try to put something crazy on there, it might draw the player's attention too much and pull them away from their objective, which is to hit the next shot. So it was, just more, like I saw a lot more, and it wasn't necessarily bad, it was just different look for me. I just saw a lot more rounding textures, and and it's, I couldn't, when I first saw it, like when I first heard about this, I was like, what is this going to look like? And then I saw it, I'm like, that looks like the Division. So I think you guys did like a fantastic job, and like I said, it's going to be something where I tentatively use my phone not to play games, and I'm not anti it. It's just nothing has ever intrigued me enough, and so far from what I've seen from this, like this looks super interesting and super appealing to me as a lover of a looter. But you guys are offering a closed alpha sign up?
Yep. So you can pre-register on the website to have a chance to play, and it should be on we're in July, so this month.
Yeah, I'll put that link in the show notes too, and everything for anybody that's listening. So again, is there anything else that you want the community to know about the Division Resurgence? I know I watched the video presentation, and the only thing we're getting right now is soon. So I would love to ask when I'm going to be able to play this, but other than the closed alpha. But I know that if you guys were ready to say that, you would say that. But is there anything else that you want like an avid Division player to know to entice them to pick up their phone and download this?
First, it's free,
okay.
So and I really think it's worth a try because we really work hard to make it a solid and faithful Division game.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.